Hello mate, my name's Gareth and welcome to Eno Wrestling. When Cody Rhodes was presented with the TNT Championship by David Crockett on Christmas Day after defeating Sammy Guevara, I knew I had to talk about this. Cody's character has been long debated online with a lot of speculation and confusion about what his character is and where he is headed. It is a mess, but there's still a lot of brilliance in Cody's character arc. Say what you want about it, but it's over. He gets boozed on a level that rival MJF. So, was this title change a continuation of chaos, or a glimpse of genius from the man that I have dubbed the chaotic genius, Cody Rhodes? The first question we must ask is, what is Cody's character? So many online are using the word heel, but I, and Cody himself, think that's too simplistic. Cody said on Twitter in July 2020 that he is tired of old tropes like heel and babyface, and that he finds them insulting to the audience because he's been on TV since he was about 20. This, to me, is a refreshing attitude, because whilst these tropes can be useful, it very much depends on your character and how you want to perform. MJF is a great heel, and Jungle Boy is a great babyface. Good guys and bad guys are classic storytelling tropes for a reason. However, the best characters do tend to have an air of ambiguity to them, and this is what Cody Rhodes has lent into as of late. His character is someone who thinks he's the good guy, however his crowd reactions suggest something different. Lots of comparisons have been made to Homelander. I personally haven't seen or read The Boys, but from what I've gathered from people who have, this sounds very accurate. The Cody Rhodes supervillain story arc is a popular theory online, and it's cute. It may well be the direction they're headed. I think, and I hope, that it is. The one issue with that theory though, is that this is an arc that Cody has not truly begun yet. But I'm hoping that Cody winning the TNT Championship is the spark that this story needs to truly get going. As of right now though, Cody Rhodes the character still hasn't hit his lightbulb moment. The issue with Cody's story so far is that he's not actually done anything to suggest he's the bad guy within the realms of kayfabe at least. Stories are built on actions made by characters, and Cody hasn't made any actions. The story so far has just been about Cody's crowd reactions, which means that Cody has not been an active character. This means that so far there hasn't really been an active story, more just things happening on screen which we're forced to interpret. And without any active developments, we can't really interpret an actual story. If you watched my How Storytelling Works in Wrestling video, you will know that I define story loosely as a change within a character over a period of time. You'd be clutching at straws to find any real change within Cody's character. Instead, the change has been in the crowd reaction to Cody, and this is why many people have been critical of his story. The only things that he has done are actions that are wildly out of character for him, such as pulling out a sledgehammer or a golden shovel. These are kind of plot holes, because why would a guy who believes he is the good guy do this? The real life reason why he's done this is to pop fans on the internet, nothing else, and he's harmed the narrative in doing that. This isn't the first time that Cody has left narrative holes in a story of his. He no-sold MJF's heel turn in 2019 on him because it didn't conveniently line up with the build to Revolution 2020. So, there are issues with this current character arc Cody is on, but like he did with MJF, Cody Rhodes does have the capability to turn this around and make this one of AEW's best stories. My hope is that by winning the TNT Championship, he might just have started doing that. I love Cody, and him winning the TNT Championship is a great development. However, this character arc is not as complex as some people claim it to be. They claim it to be this great work of art because they don't want to admit that this story is flawed, which objectively it is. The character is actually very simple and easy to understand. Cody has just confused so many people by contradicting his character, leaving plot hole after plot hole. If Cody is half as smart as his loyal supporters claim, he will turn these plot holes into something meaningful moving forward. But that doesn't mean that they didn't exist and haven't muddied the waters for many fans. We cannot ignore that, but I do hope that we can move forward with Cody now, understand why those plot holes happened, and trust that he now has a grip on this character arc. The build to this TNT Championship match between Cody and Sammy Guevara was simple, but still great. Cody challenged Sammy in his open challenge, a very natural thing for Cody to do, and whilst it scans to fans as Cody shoving himself in the limelight again, to Cody, in the world of kayfabe, he's just doing something that is perfectly acceptable. They didn't overdo it with huge promo segments or drag it out, it just seemed like a routine title defense for Sammy, with the only difference being that this is Cody Rhodes. The match itself was great, I thought. I bit on both major near falls, and I felt it really painted Cody as the clear heel without needing to rely on any of those traditional heel tropes. The thing I like most about this match though is that it ended clean. This was essential for me. I even tweeted out during the week leading up to the match that I wanted it to end this way. The reason for this is that AEW had not built to a Cody Rhodes heel turn. Regardless of how Cody feels about traditional tropes and regardless of how some fans wanted it to go, Cody turning heel wouldn't have even made any sense. It simply had not been built to in the narrative. Cody Rhodes winning clean allows him to move forward as TNT champion with somewhat of a clean slate. This is where his character arc can truly take flight. Now that Cody Rhodes is TNT champion, his character has stakes. He has something to lose, and this could make him a truly fascinating character. I think anyone expecting a traditional heel turn will be disappointed. I've already spoken about how Cody doesn't like those traditional wrestling tropes, not to mention how his "I will not turn" promo was less about saying "I won't give you what you want" and more about saying "let me tell my story my way." Moving forward, it would be such an easy story to tell that Cody becomes more and more desperate to retain his title. Cody doesn't need that heel turn moment because he's already receiving the reaction that you desire when you do a moment like that. It also doesn't suit Cody's character, as I've already explained. What, then, is the next destination for Cody? That I cannot answer with any certainty. What I can say is that Cody being champion provides AEW with a lot more meat to squeeze from. With each title defense, Cody's desperation can grow, and to attempt to mask this, Cody can become more and more arrogant. When it's time for Cody to lose the TNT Championship, it can be his ego running wild which eventually costs him. And maybe, just maybe, his ego could eventually push him over to the edge and make him ready to finally win that AEW World Championship in the future. We know that Cody Rhodes will lose that TNT Championship at some point, and it will be interesting to see how that loss will be informed by the story they tell. For me, there are only 5 options for the next TNT champion. As much as I'd love to see various different people as champion, especially Pac, I just can't see them being the right people to defeat Cody. Jungle Boy is an obvious candidate. He was Cody's first challenger in Cody's first TNT Championship reign, and he feels primed to be a champion soon. Jungle Boy is also the purest babyface in AEW, so the dynamic between the two is already perfect. Malachi Black is another I would love to see. Black as champion would be magnificent, and you could easily work in a story where Black sees that he has unfinished business with Cody, having lost in their last meeting. Malachi is one of the few heels in AEW where wrestling against Cody actually makes sense. Wardlow getting a Goldberg-like push and winning a championship before MJF could be an interesting wrinkle to his story with his kayfabe boss. In a match against Cody, you also have the history from their steel cage match that the two could play off. If the goal is to get Wardlow over as a mega babyface, then there's no better way than having him defeat Cody and then MJF, and Mr. Mayhem is well overdue this monstrous push. Keith Lee is someone that a lot of people, myself included, are desperate for in AEW, and it's fair to say that as soon as a company gets their hands on Keith Lee, they don't need to waste their time in building him up. He's a made man and his brilliance is obvious for all to see. There's no need for a long build. Debuting him in an open challenge and having him win the title would be fantastic. However, that isn't the route I'd go down. Eddie Kingston is probably the most over babyface with AEW's core audience. Again, there's a history between Eddie and Cody which could be built off in this feud. Furthermore, Eddie Kingston really is the antithesis of this Cody character. Also, I just really want to see Eddie Kingston hold gold in 2022. With all the accusations towards Eddie that he doesn't work hard enough from CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, what better way to prove everyone wrong, to prove that he is undeniable, than against the guy who says do the work and tells people to prove that they are undeniable. Whoever AEW have defeat Cody Rhodes, my one hope for his title reign is that they use this to push Cody's character forward. Previously, it was unclear where the stakes for Cody would come from. Now they have this story set up on a plate, and they can still save this character arc from the meta-nonsense, self-indulgent winkfest it had become. Bottling that would be a real shame. So, to answer my question from earlier in the video, I think that this is a genius stroke in a chaotic story. It might just save Cody's character from Cody the performer and get his arc back on track. But what do you think about Cody Rhodes winning the TNT Championship and about his character arc? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. I'll be continuing my storytelling in wrestling series with the second and third parts coming out very soon. If you haven't checked out part 1, it's on my channel now. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please do leave a like as it helps me out so much. I hope you had a great Christmas and have an even better New Year. Cheers, mate.